अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रये। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वेभ्यो नमः, सर्वेषां कृते स्वागतम्। We are now in the middle of the 13th chapter. We have already completed 11 shlokas in the 13th chapter. And today we will continue from the 12th shloka onwards. We will do 7 shlokas today, from the 12th shloka to the 18th shloka of the 13th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. So why are we reading the Bhagavad-gita? The Bhagavad-gita, as we know, is spoken by Sri Bhagavan himself to Arjuna and has been recorded by Sri Vyasdev ji. And it gives us a clear sense of purpose and direction in life. By reading the Gita, we are able to understand about God, about Sri Bhagavan, about our own nature. In a essence, we know that there is a relationship between us and Bhagavan, and we can discover it by following the right process. So the Bhagavad Gita actually opens our eyes to some realities that we are not normally exposed to. We learn that our own self is much better than what we think it is, or in simple language, we are better than what we think we are. We have an eternal nature which is free from all kinds of suffering. This suffering is only for the body and not for us. So as we look at the 13th chapter, Sri Bhagavan has now covered beginning with the kshetra. So the very first shloka, Arjuna asks Sri Krishna the meaning of 6 different terms. He says, what is meant by kshetram, kshetrajna, jnanam, jñeyam, prakriti and purusha. Okay, kshetram, kshetrajna, jnanam, jñeyam, prakriti and purusha. What do these 6 terms mean? Please explain to me. Then Shri Bhagavan answers by explaining what kshetram is first. And then he says, anyone who knows the kshetram is called the kshetrajna. And I am also, Bhagavan, Shri Bhagavan himself is also the kshetrajna. In addition to the jivatma who resides in every body, Shri Bhagavan, who is also residing in every body, is also the kshetrajna. So both the jivatmas and Shri Bhagavan are the kshetrajna. Then he speaks about what the word jnanam means. And that is what we did in the last session. So I will quickly revise that. So he lists 20 qualities of jnana. If somebody has jnana, then they will have these 20 qualities, or somebody is aspiring for jnana. Somebody wants to have that jnana, somebody wants to attain that jnana, then they must cultivate these 20 qualities. What are they? Amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham, stairyam, atmavinigraha, indriyartheshu vairagyam, anahankara evacha, janma mrityujara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam, asaktir anabhishwangaha, putradara grihadishu, nityancha samachittatvam, ishtanishtopapatishu, मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरभ्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्जनसंसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वं तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् etad iti proktam ajnanam yad athonyata. So Sri Bhagavan lists these 20 qualities of jnana in these 5 shlokas, and I highlighted them in this manner. I will now very briefly review them in the next couple of slides. So first, amanitva means not hankering for honor or respect from others. Adambhitvam, not expecting others' praise for being dharmic. Ahimsa, not causing distress to others in any manner. Shanti means tolerating disrespect or insult towards oneself from others. Arjavam, practicing of simplicity. Acharyopasana, offering pleasing service to one's teachers. Shaucha means practicing both internal cleanliness and external cleanliness. Sthairya means being very steadfast, unshaken in the practice of dharma. Atma Vinigraha, restraining our own mind and senses from distractions to our spiritual commitment, our spiritual progress. Indriyartheshu Vairagya, that is not craving, developing the freedom from the craving for indulgence in the pleasures of the sense objects. Anahankara, freedom from ahankara, not identifying oneself with one's body and other related things to the body. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam, repeatedly making oneself aware by contemplating, by thinking about all the different miseries, particularly those of birth, death, old age, and disease, and reminding oneself that one's real nature is to be free from them. Oneself, one's real self is free from these things. Putra Dara Grihadishu Asaktihi. Asakti means attachment. The absence of attachment. Sorry, Asakti means attachment. Asakti means absence of attachment to one's son, wife, house, and so on. Although there is responsibility, there is also detachment. Putra Dara Grihadishu Anabhishwangaha. Keeping one's emotions independent of their emotions of happiness and distress. Nityancha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu. Always remaining equanimous in the mind, regardless of whether the result obtained is desirable or undesirable. Sometimes we get good results, desirable results which we like. Sometimes we get undesirable results. Keeping ourselves above this, mentally above them, mentally not being disturbed whether it is desirable or undesirable. Mayi chananya yogena bhakti avyabhicharini. Avyabhicharini bhakti means exclusive bhakti or unshaken bhakti. Steady, committed, exclusive bhakti to Sri Bhagavan, to me. Vivikta desha sevitvam. The liking that one has for visiting and residing in solitary places, places where there are no crowds. And that is connected to the next quality. Jana sansari aratihi. Arati means, again, lack of a specific liking or specifically the aversion, a disliking for mundane gatherings where people are just talking about gossip or useless things. People are just generally saying hi, hi, and praising each other about their clothes, about some movies, about some very mundane activities which are not relevant to spiritual life. So developing a dislike for that. Adhyatma jnana nityatva, remaining continuously aware, maintaining a continuous awareness of and contemplating upon the permanence of the knowledge based on the Atma, or knowledge of oneself as the Atma. So keeping a continuous awareness of that. And Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam, always contemplating on the purpose and practice of the Absolute Truth. So one should always think about what is the next thing I should do. How should I live my life? My life should be in terms of spiritual processes, not activities which are geared for increasing my sensual indulgence. Rather, how can I simplify that, simplify my dependence upon sensual indulgence and increase my indulgence or involvement in more and more spiritual activities? How do I do that? That is Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. Always thinking about that Tattva and the purpose of attaining that Tattva. So in this manner, Sri Bhagavan listed the 20 qualities of jnana, and through that we have a sense of direction about where we should proceed, what kind of things we should cultivate in our own life. Next, Sri Bhagavan moves forward and talks about jñeyam. The word jñeyam in Sanskrit means that which ought to be known. Okay, jnanam means that which helps us to attain that knowledge about the jñeya. Now, jñeya, what is it that we ought to know about? What is it that we should be contemplating on? Okay, so jñeyam yattat pravakshyami yajñātvāmritamashnuते anadimat param brahma nasattanna saduchyate. The 12th shloka. Jneyam yattat pravakshyami yajñātvāmritamashnuते anadimat param brahma nasattanna saduchyate. So what is Shri Bhagavan here saying? He says, Jneyam yat. What is that jneyam? Tat pravakshyami. I will now tell you. I will now tell you what that jneyam is. Yat jñātva, after knowing which, amritam ashnute. Ashnute, the word ashnute means eats. Literally means eats. Okay, here is saying amritam, nectar. By knowing this, you will be eating nectar. Okay, so literally the meaning should not be taken as eating something physically. What he means is that we'll be experiencing that liberation from all the suffering. Mukti. Mukti from the samsara. The samsara is filled with different types of suffering. Specifically, Shri Bhagavan pointed out Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. These four very broad forms of suffering are afflicting all living beings. All living beings. Nobody is spared from that. So freedom from that. Even if the body goes through those things, the Atma is able to detach itself and see itself as separate from the body. By doing which, the Atma is able to experience complete happiness within itself. We are able to experience the genuine happiness that's present within ourselves. How is that happening? How does that happen? It happens by knowing the jñeya. Jñeyam yattat pravakshyami yajñātva. After knowing that jñeya, you will experience this liberation, Shri Bhagavan says. So what about that jñeya? He says, anadimat param brahma. That jñeya is nothing other than Brahma. Okay, so what is Brahma? Brahma refers to big thing. What is huge? Brihad vastu. Brihad vastu ko Brahma bolte hain. Brahma is another name for God. In English, we say God. Okay, in the Bhagavatam, it is said that this Supreme Personality is known by three terms: Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. All three refer to the same personality, the Supreme Person, that God, whom we call as Bhagavan. So Bhagavan को तीन नाम से जाना जाता है, एक भगवान, परमात्मा, ब्रह्म. So now he is using the word Brahma. He says ज्ञेय जो है वो ब्रह्म है, ब्रह्म को ही जानना चाहिए. That which ought to be known is Brahma. So anadi mat param. Anadi means जिसका आदि नहीं है. That which has no beginning. जिसका आदि नहीं है उसको अनादि कहते हैं. अनादि है. और mat param means that which is dependent on me, or that which is based on me. Right? Mat param. In the end of the 14th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, the last shloka, Shri Bhagavan will again tell us, Brahmano hi pratishtaham. Brahmano hi pratishtaham. Amritasya vyayasya cha. Shashvatasya hi dharmasya. Sukhasya ikantikasya cha. So he says that Brahmanaha hi aham pratishtha. I am the basis. Shri Bhagavan is speaking this. Krishna is speaking this. He says, I am the basis for this Brahma. This Brahma is actually me in a different manifestation. So those of us who think about him as Brahma, okay, they will realize him as Brahma. Those who think of him as Bhagavan will realize him in his pure Bhagavan form. And those who think of him as Paramatma will realize him as Paramatma. But all three are the same being. एक ही वस्तु है. एक ही वस्तु को तीन रूप से दृष्टि होती है. जैसे उनके पास हम जाते हैं, ये यथा माम प्रपद्यन्ते, ये यथा माम प्रपद्यन्ते तांस तथैव भजाम्यहम्. सो जैसे लोग मेरे पास आते हैं, जिस दृष्टि से मेरे पास आते हैं, उसी दृष्टि से मैं उनको अपना तत्व प्रकाशित करता हूँ. So just as people approach me, in the same way I reveal myself to them. So Brahma is mat param. It is based on me, Shri Bhagavan says. It's based on him. And अनादिमत परम ब्रह्म न सत तन्ना सदुच्यते। इसको सत भी नहीं बोलते हैं, असत भी नहीं बोलते। इट इज neither सत नॉर असत। सत न असद उच्यते। So what does he mean by that? Normally we say Bhagavan is sad vastu. Okay. So there the word sat is used to mean that which is nitya, जो नित्य है, जिसकी मृत्यु नहीं है, जिसकी आदि नहीं है, मृत्यु भी नहीं है, मृत्यु भी नहीं है, उसको सत बोलते हैं। सत वस्तु है वो, जो सदा रहता है, वो सत है। That is one meaning of sat. But here the word sat is not used in that sense. Here sat and asat are used to mean cause and effect, or you can say कार्य कारण। सत्य जो है वो कार्य है, असत is refers to the cause. So sat means that which is seen, manifested, like all the things which we see around us now are manifested things। प्रकृति का जो manifestation व्यक्त रूप है उसको सत बोलते हैं यहाँ पर। और असत जो है उनका असत और अव्यक्त रूप है। तो यहाँ पर जो है it refers to the basic cause and effect। Cause and effect in this material world, everything is cause and effect। Now Shri Bhagavan is beyond that। He is beyond the cause and effect of this world। इस विश्व में, इस जगत में ऑल द कॉज एंड इफेक्ट, जो कार्य कारण होता है, वो सब प्रकृति का ही रूप है। प्रकृति ही मूल कारण है। सबका कारण, मूल कारण प्रकृति है। प्रकृति इज द रूट कॉज। सो सत एंड असत आर बोथ रेफरिंग टू डिफरेंट मैनिफेस्टेशंस ऑफ प्रकृति, बट भगवान इज अबाउ देम, इज अबाउ प्रकृति। Similarly, the Jivatma also is above them। Jivatma is an amsha of Bhagavan। ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूत सनातन। सो जीवात्मा जो है, हम लोग सब जीवात्मा है। जीवात्मा सब भगवान का अंश है। सो जीवात्मा इज अ अंश ऑफ भगवान, एंड जीवात्मा इज ऑल्सो रेफर्ड टू एज ब्रह्म, एंड जीवात्मा इज ऑल्सो neither sat nor asat। It's beyond sat and asat। Okay, that's the meaning of this। It's neither cause nor effect in the material world। So here Shri Bhagavan is telling this is the jñeya। Jñeya means that which ought to be known। So this Brahma, which is anadi, which is matparaha, and which is neither sat nor asat, that is what we ought to know। That is the jñeya, that is the goal of life। To know this is the goal of life। And by knowing it, yat jñātva amritam ashnute, by knowing this one gets mukti, one becomes free permanently from all material suffering। I will describe the jñeya by knowing which one obtains liberation from material existence, or amrita। Amrita means that liberation। The jñeya is Brahma, which has no beginning, anadi, whose fundamental basis is me, matpara, and which, being beyond cause and effect, is said to be neither sat nor asat। Okay, Shri Bhagavan explains this। Sarvatah panipadam tat sarvatokshi shiro mukham sarvatah shrutimat loke sarvamavritya tishtati। Very beautiful shloka। सर्वतः पाणिपादं तत् सर्वतोक्षिशिरो मुखं सर्वतः श्रुतिमल्लोके सर्वमावृत्य तिष्ठति। So this shloka basically says that Brahma that we just heard about is all pervading। It exists in all living beings। That Shri Bhagavan exists in all living beings as Brahma। So what is meant by sarvatah panipadam tat? Just like, we have hands and legs. An insect has hands and legs. Elephant has its legs. Every animal has its limbs, right? Panipadam. Panipadam basically means hands and legs, or limbs. You can say, more generally speaking, limbs. So if Bhagavan is present in every living being, that means all the hands and legs in this world belong to him, because he is present in every living being। Wherever there are hands and legs, Bhagavan has those hands and legs, that belongs to him। So he is that being which has all the hands and legs of this universe। Okay, we are not like that। We have only our own hands and legs। Every creature has their respective hands and legs, but Sri Bhagavan has all the hands and legs that exist in this world। So sarvatah panipadam tat, all the hands and legs are his। Okay. Similarly, sarvatokshi shiro mukam, in the same manner, all the heads and all the eyes. Akshi means the eyes, and shiraha or shiras means the heads. And mukha means the faces or the mouths. You can say mukham refers to the face or the mouth, and shiraha means the head, akshi means the eyes. So just like the hands and legs, all the eyes, the heads, the mouths and faces in this world, they belong to him. They are his because he is present in every living being. Similarly, sarvataha shutimat loke. Shutimat, shutiman means jiski shruti hai. That is the ears, refers to the ears. So shutimat means the ear. And all the ears in this universe belong to him. Okay, essentially this shloka is saying that everything, everywhere he is present, and therefore it concludes after saying that hands, legs, eyes, ears, mouths, everything belongs to him. He says, Sarvam avritya tishtati. Sarvam avritya, pervading everything, it exists. Sarvam avritya, avarana, सबका आवरण करती है और करता है. सबका आवरण श्री भगवान करते हैं. तो सर्वम आवृत्य तिष्ठति. सर्वतः पाणिपादं तत् सर्वतोक्षिशिरो मुखं सर्वतः श्रुतिमल्लोके सर्वमावृत्य तिष्ठति. Its hands, legs, eyes, heads, mouths and ears are everywhere. It's present everywhere, covering everything in existence. Sarvendriya-gunabhasam sarvendriya-vivarjitam asaktam sarvabhritchaiva nirgunam gunabhoktra cha. Sarvendriya-gunabhasam means all the objects of the senses, indriya guna, all the senses and their objects both. Sarva indriya guna. Indriyam means the senses, the five knowledge senses that we have, knowledge acquiring senses, the five karmendriyas that we have, jnanendriyas, karmendriyas, all the vishayas of the senses like sound, taste, smell, right? All of these are different objects of the senses. We have covered them in the earlier sessions. So, sarvendriya gunabhasam means all these things, the senses and their objects, unka abhas, lighting up, illumination. Illumination of these things happens. Inko Bhagavan prakashit karte hain. Bhagavan lights them up. Because of him, we are able to use these senses. We are able to acquire knowledge through the senses. We are able to feel the objects. We are able to cognize, or cognizance happens through these objects, through these senses, because of Bhagavan. So Bhagavan hai unko prakashit karne wale. So unka abhas, lighting up, happens because of Bhagavan. Or in other words, you can also understand the same term as saying जिनसे भगवान का आभास होता है, मतलब through these senses we are able to realize Bhagavan. Because right now we are in this body and we can only work through the body. We cannot work independent of the body. So we depend on our senses, knowledge acquiring senses, the mind. All of these help us to realize Bhagavan. So भगवान का जो प्रकाश होता है इनके द्वारा होता है. So सर्वेंद्रिय गुणाभास. That way also we can understand. But sarvendriya vivarjitam, sarvendriya gunabhasam, sarvendriya vivarjitam. He is himself devoid of all the senses. The senses are right now with us because we are in material existence, but he himself does not have any of these senses. उनके जो सेंसेस हैं, उनके जो इंद्रिय हैं और गुण हैं, उनके बारे में अलग से बात किया जाता है. बट हमारे जो इंद्रिय हैं वो प्राकृतिक हैं, प्रकृति के हैं. दे आर material senses, and material sense objects are what we realize through them. So Bhagavan is free from that. He doesn't have these material senses. Asaktam sarvabhritchaiva. Asaktam means he is completely detached. But at the same time, sarvabhrit, he sustains everything. So earlier class we discussed about detachment, and we also were concerned about this aspect. Say detached from everybody, detached from our family members. If we are detached from our family members, then who will take care of them? So you can see here, Bhagavan is asaktam, he is detached from everything, but sarvabhrit. Sarvabhrit means he is the maintainer of everything. Everything sustains in this world because of him. All the energies, all the different principles, like for example, in physics we talk about the law of gravity, the law of electromagnetism, different types of laws which govern this natural world, right? Similarly, in humanities we study about social laws, psychological laws. So where do these laws actually originate from? They are all different manifestations of Bhagavan's energy only. So he sustains this world. सर्वभृत, सबका भरता यही है, भगवान है। सो ऑल्दो आसक्ति है, उनमें आसक्ति है, फिर भी वो सबको पालन करते हैं, सबका पालन करते हैं, सबका धारण करते हैं। सो ही इज रेस्पॉन्सिबल, ही टेक्स रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। डिटैचमेंट एंड रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी गो टुगेदर. Detachment does not mean becoming irresponsible. Okay, that is captured here very nicely. Asaktam sarvabhritchaiva निर्गुणम गुणभोक्तृ च. निर्गुणम, उनके जो है, उनका गुण जो है वो निर्गुण है. निर्गुण मतलब he doesn't have the gunas, he is unaffected by the three gunas of prakriti, sattva rajas tamah. These three gunas affect us and we are constantly bound by them. ये जो हमको बंधन करते हैं, बांध बांध देते हैं, पर भगवान इनसे बंधे नहीं जाते. भगवान इनसे ऊपर हैं, इनसे पार हैं. सो निर्गुण है. निर्गुण का मतलब ये सत्व रज तम जो है, ये हमको जो बंधन करता है, इनको बंधन नहीं करता है. ही इज निर्गुण. सिमिलरली वी ऑल्सो द जीवात्मास, वी आर ऑल्सो निर्गुण. We don't know that, we don't have that knowledge, but we are actually nirguna, and that is what he teaches us in the Bhagavad Gita. And we ought to realize that nature of how we are actually nirguna, and we should not be affected by the different things that happen around this world. Although we take responsibility for them, we do what we can in our duties, we execute our duties, but we should remain unaffected. We should remind ourselves continuously that we are nirguna. We are Bhagavan's Amsha and we are part of him. So we are also Nirguna like him. So Nirgunam, Guna Bhoktracha. So now he says that Guna Bhokta, Guna Bhokta means उनके अंदर भी गुण है. जब इतना इतना कहना ठीक नहीं है कि वो निर्गुण है. निर्गुण का मतलब है वो प्राकृतिक गुण से पार हैं, फिर भी उनके अंदर श्रेष्ठ गुण हैं जो अप्राकृतिक हैं. So he is filled with gunas which are his qualities, like ऐश्वर्य, ऐश्वर्यमय है, उनमें करुणा है, उनमें बहुत सारे गुण हैं जो सर्वश्रेष्ठ हैं, सबसे श्रेष्ठ हैं, सुपीरियर गुणस. एंड ही गुण भोक्ता मीन्स ही इज कंटिन्यूअसली एक्सपीरियंसिंग दोज गुणस. भोक्ता मीन्स वन हु एक्सपीरियंसेस, एक्सपीरियंसर, जिसका भोग करता है, भोक्ता है. तो गुण भोक्ता मीन्स वो गुण जिन उनके अंदर जो गुण है, दोज गुणास विच आर इनसाइड हिम, he continuously experiences those gunas and enjoys them. He takes pleasure in those gunas. Guna bhoktracha, right? Sarvendriya gunabhasam, sarvendriya vivarjitam, asaktam sarvabhritchaiva nirgunam guna bhoktracha. So in this very beautifully composed shloka, different types of things are being contrasted, right? He lights up all the gunas, but he is free from the gunas. He is fully detached, but fully responsible. He is nirguna, but at the same time has all the gunas. So all contrasts are brought out nicely here. All the contrasts are reconciled in him. It illuminates, this Brahma that he is talking about, illuminates all the material senses and their objects, but does not itself have material senses. It is detached from matter, but sustains everything. It is beyond the three gunas of Prakriti, but experiences and takes pleasure in its own gunas. Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha sukshmatvat tadavigneyam durastham cha antike cha tat. Again, so many contrasts are brought about. Bahirantascha bhutanam. Bahihi antascha. Bahihi means outside, antaha means inside. So Bhagavan or Brahma is both Bahihi and Antaha. Kiska? Bhutanam, of all the living beings. So Jivatma ke andar bhi hai, bahar bhi hai. How is it possible? That is possible. भगवान का गुण है. बहिरंतश्च भूतानाम. भगवान सबके अंदर हैं और सबके बाहर भी हैं. बहिरंतश्च भूतानाम acharam charameva cha. Acharam means that which is moving. Charam means that which is non-moving. So Bhutanam, what kind of living beings, you may ask? So Bhutanam, living beings are of different types. There are living beings which move, like us, animals, insects, they are all moving. But there are living beings like plants. There are more living beings in the plant kingdom than in the animal kingdom, right? So they are also very much a part of Bhagavan, and Bhagavan is present in them too. But they are acharam. Okay, acharam refers to non-moving living beings, that which वो एक ही जगह में खड़े रहते हैं. Charam is moving living beings, जो इधर उधर टहलते रहते हैं हमारे जैसे. So acharam charameva cha. Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha. He is inside all the living beings and outside of them, regardless of whether they are moving or not moving. But sukshmatvat. So one would think that if Bhagavan is everywhere, then he would be very big in size. Yes, the first line of the shloka tells us about his largeness. He is very large. He is huge. That is why he said Brihatvat Brahma, from his hugeness, from his massiveness. He is called Brahma. But at the same time, Sukshmatvat, he is also Sukshma. Sukshma means bahut subtle. Subtle bolte. English में subtle. Subtle means that which cannot be easily perceived, that which cannot be cognized, which cannot be easily understood. Okay, therefore, Sukshmatvat tad avidgyayaha, that which is very difficult to understand or impossible to understand. In many different places in the Shastra, it is said that nobody understands Bhagavan properly. Only he knows himself. Nobody understands Bhagavan fully. Everybody has some level of understanding. Some people understand him better, some people understand him not so well. Right? Even among the bhaktas. Some bhaktas understand him very well, but some bhaktas understand him less. But whatever it is, nobody understands him perfectly. There's no one who understands him perfectly. Sukshmatvat tad avijñeyam durastham chantike chayat. Durastham, he is situated very far because of his sukshmatva. He seems to be very far away. It's very difficult to reach. But he is present right inside us. He is always inside us. Okay, he is very difficult, very far to reach, but he is also very much near. He is most close to us. Nothing is as close to us as Bhagavan. Nothing is as far away from us as Bhagavan, and at the same time, nothing is as close to us as Bhagavan. Both are true. Okay, both, this is contradiction. But in this contradiction lies the truth. So, bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha sukshmatvat tadavigyayam durastham acha antike cha tat. It is inside as well as outside of all beings that are moving as well as non-moving. Owing to its subtlety, it cannot be fully understood. It is situated far away as well as very nearby. Antike means very nearby. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktamiva cha sthitam bhutabhartru cha tajñeyam grasishnu prabhavishnu cha avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktamiva cha sthitam avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktamiva cha sthitam bhutabhartru cha tajñeyam grasishnu prabhavishnu cha. Avibhaktam cha means that which is undivided. जो विभक्त नहीं है. Vibhakt means that which is broken down or categorized, divided into pieces. Avibhaktaha means that which is unbroken, undivided, one single thing. So Bhagavan or Brahma is avibhakta. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktamiva cha sthitam. But at the same time, he appears to be broken into different pieces because of being present in all living beings. Bhagavan is inside me, he's inside each of you, he's inside all the insects we see, he's inside every single animal that we see, he's inside every single plant we see, he's inside everything. If you ask the question, is he here? Yes, he is here. Is he there? He is there. Is he inside this watch? He is inside the watch. So that means he is divided, right? No, he is still undivided. But he appears to be divided. Vibhaktam iva. See, this iva means he appears like. Iva means like. Vibhaktam iva. Like he is vibhakta. Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktam iva cha sthitam. He appears to be divided, but he is one living being. One large being that is present in all other beings. Bhutabhartram, bhutabhartru cha tajñeyam. Bhutabharta. Bharta means the protector. Okay, everything is in neuter gender here. That's why bhutabhartru. Otherwise, it would be bharta, masculine gender. Bhutabhartru means that which is the sustainer of all the living beings. By being present in all the living beings, he sustains all of them, not from outside, but from inside. Tatat jñeyam. That is the jñeya that we are talking about. Okay, you asked me to explain what is jñeya. Now I am telling you the qualities. So understand that jñeya, that jñeya is bhuta bharta, bhuta bhartru, grasishnu, prabhavishnu cha, grasishnu, जो ग्रसन करते हैं, that which consumes everything, and prabhavishnu, that which creates everything. Okay, so he's referring to the role of Bhagwan in both destruction. प्रलय काल में जब प्रलय होता है, everything gets destroyed, everything he consumes, everything goes inside him, सब अव्यक्त हो जाता है, भगवान के अंदर जाता है. when destruction, महाप्रलय जब होता है, सब भगवान के अंदर जाता है. और उसके बाद जब सृष्टि होती है, प्रभव विष्णु, सबका प्रभव उनसे ही होता है. So he is both the consumer of everything as well as the creator of everything. Okay. So avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhaktamiva cha sthitam bhut bhartr cha tajñeyam grasishnu prabhavishnu cha. That jñeya is one undivided entity which appears divided, situated as it is within all beings. It is the maintainer of beings and their destroyer as well, and their destroyer and creator as well. Jyotishamaphi tajyotihi tamasah paramuchyate. Jyotishamaphi tajyotif jyotis tamasah paramuchyate. Jnanam jñeyam jñānagamyam hridi sarvasya dhishtitam. So now he says that jñeya, that Brahman that we are talking about, is jyotishamapi tajyotihi. It is the light of all the luminous bodies. For example, the sun. So when we look at the sun is giving us so much light. Where does the sun's light come from? It comes from Bhagavan. It's Bhagavan's light which we see through the sun. Okay, in fact, currently we say that जो सूर्य देव है, he is Narayana himself. Swayam Narayan has become Surya Dev in this Manvantar. So he's called Surya Narayan. And so that Surya Narayana's body, his body's effulgence or illumination, that is what we see as sunlight. Unhi ka tej hai, that fire, that heat which we feel of the sun, is actually the heat of that radiation from his body. That heat comes from him. Jyoti Shama Pita Jyotihi. Similarly, the moonlight. The light of the moon is a reflection of the sun's light, right? And so that light essentially is Sri Bhagavan's illumination. The light that we experience inside all the bulbs that we have, the bulbs that we use, that is a transformation of that same light which comes from Bhagavan. So Jyoti Shamapi Tad Jyotihi. And so Tamasaha Paramuchyate. Tamasaha means darkness. Tamaha is darkness. Tamasaha means of darkness. Tamasaha Param. He is beyond darkness. Tamasaha Paramuchyate. Jnanam Gamyam Jñānagamyam. He is not only jñeya, jnanam jñeyam jñānagamyam. न सिर्फ ज्ञेय है, that which is to be known, but he is also jñāna at the same time. He is knowledge, jñāna, and jñānagamya. He is to be attained through knowledge. So he has all the three aspects in him. One is that he is the jñeya, he is that which is to be known. Second, he is the jñāna. He is jñāna also. He himself is knowledge. And jñānagamya. He is attained through knowledge. Jñānagamya. So jnanam jñeyam jñānagamyam hridi sarvasya dhishtitam. He is situated in the heart of all living beings. He is inside everyone's heart. Hridi sarvasya dhishtitam. Okay. Jyotishama pita jyotihi tamasaf paramuchyate. Jñānagamyam jnanam jñeyam jñānagamyam hridi sarvasya dhishtitam. It is the light of even the luminous celestial bodies. It is said to be beyond darkness and ignorance. It is knowledge, jñāna, that which ought to be known, jñeya, and that which is obtained through knowledge, jñānagamya. It is situated in the heart of all the beings. And then he finally concludes this section. He says, Iti kshetram tatha jnanam jñeyam choktam samasataha madbhaktaha etad vijñāya madbhavayopapadyate. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam jñeyam choktam samasataha madbhakta eta vijñāya madbhaktaha etad vijñāya madbhavayopapadyate. He says, iti kshetram. In this way, I have explained to you kshetra, tatha, jnana. I have explained kshetra, jnana, and jñeya. Samasataha means briefly. Okay, this is Kurukshetra. And we are standing here about to start the war. I can't give you a long lecture, although I have a lot more to say, but I can't tell you everything right now. So very briefly, in just a few shlokas, I've told you what these three things are. Kshetram, Jnanam, and Jneyam. I still have three more things to tell you, which you have asked me, and I'm going to tell you that later. But now he says, Mad Bhaktaha, my devotee, my Bhakta, मेरा भक्त एतत् विज्ञाय, इसको जान करके. एतत् विज्ञाय means विज्ञाय, not just ज्ञात्वा. विज्ञाय means knowing it very well, after understanding these properly, after understanding these comprehensively. एतत् विज्ञाय madbhavaya upapadyate. He attains my existence. He obtains my existence. Madbhavaha. Madbhavaha means my existence or my nature. Or you can say my place where I live, मेरा स्वरूप. So मेरा भक्त जो है वो इस सब को जान करके, अच्छी तरह से जान करके मेरे भाव को प्राप्त करता है. मद भावाय उपपद्यते. He attains my existence. So he is referring to bhakti at the end of Jnana Yoga. We should keep in mind that when he is speaking the 13th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, the 13th chapter to the 16th to the 18th chapter, this section of the Gita is predominantly focused on Jnana Yoga. We said that the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, 1 to 6, are predominantly focused on Karma Yoga. The middle 6 chapters, 7 to 12, are predominantly focused on Bhakti, Bhakti Yoga. And the last 6 chapters, which we have just started in the 13th chapter, is predominantly about Jnana Yoga. So then how does he talk about Bhakti here? So as I have told you in the past, Bhakti, the practice of Bhakti, is essential in the practice of Jnana too, if one has to obtain Mukti, if one has to attain Vaikunta, or even for that matter, Brahma Sayujya, what is called as Brahma Sayujya by the Jnanis. Even for that, one has to practice Bhakti in the last stage of Jnana Yoga to be able to get Mukti. So he says here, his Madbhavaya can refer to Brahma Sayujya also in this context here. Or it can refer to going to Vaikunta, which is beyond Brahma Sayujya. So Madbhaktaha etad vikyaya madbhavaya upapadyate. He is referring to that bhakti here, not the Ananya bhakti that we spoke about in the 12th chapter, which is Shuddha bhakti. Here bhakti in the motivation, with the motivation of getting mukti, that is done. Not bhakti in its purest form, but bhakti, the mentality of seva bhav is developed in order to get mukti, become free from punarjanma. For that reason, this bhakti is practiced. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam jñeyam choktam samasataha madbhaktaha etad vikyaya madbhavayopapadyate. Thus, kshetra, jnana, and jñeya have been described succinctly. Understanding them, my bhakta becomes eligible to attain me, or my existence, or my nature, or even my pure love. This madbhava word can be understood in all these different ways. So with this, we complete the section that we wanted to do today, that is to understand what is meant by jñeya. Jñeya is that which is to be known. And Sri Bhagavan began by saying that this refers to Brahma. He began by saying that, and then he went on to describe the different qualities of Brahma, how that Brahma is huge, it is present everywhere, there is no place where it is not present, it covers everything, and it is anadi, it is based upon him. So many different qualities he explained of that Brahma. And finally, he concludes that by knowing this Brahma properly, along with knowing the Kshetra and Jnana, one can attain me, he says. So we will go forward in the next session. We will talk about Prakriti and Purusha, the last two things that Sri Bhagavan will talk about from the remaining shlokas of the 13th chapter. For today, I wanted to continue the story of Parikshit Maharaj, which I started in the last session. So in the last session, we talked about the first part of Parikshit Katha, where Maharaj Parikshit is born to Uttara, Mother Uttara, son of Abhimanyu. And at the time of birth, Sri Bhagavan protects him. He is born in a very dramatic manner. Subsequently, he is brought up by his grandfathers, the Pandavas, because his father is no more. at the time of his birth. So he grows up under that training, and eventually they hand over the kingdom to him. He becomes a very able person. He's also a Shuddha Bhakta. The Bhagavatam describes him as a Shuddha Bhakta of Bhagavan, a Premi Bhakta. And once when he's touring the kingdom on his regular outing, he comes to a place where Kali, the Kali Purusha, because Kali has already started, Kali Yuga has started at this time. Kali Yuga began when Sri Bhagavan left this abode. When जब भगवान का जब तिरोभाव हुआ यहाँ से, भगवान he disappeared from here. So at that time Kali Yuga, it is said Kali Yuga began. So when Parikshit Maharaj is ruling, Kali Yuga is present, and Kali Purush, who represents Kali Yuga, he sees him as a dark Shudra. He's roaming around and he's beating a cow and a bull. The cow is a representation of Bhumi, Mother Earth, and the bull represents Dharma. So there's a conversation between them, and eventually Parikshit Maharaj, he threatens Kali. He says that in my kingdom you cannot stay. I'll kill you right now. Then that Kali falls at his feet. Okay, it shows how Maharaj Parikshit himself was above Kali. He's superior to Kali. So symbolically we can understand that Kali falling at his feet means that Kali is inferior to him. He cannot be affected by Kali. So Kali falls at his feet and begs him that please don't kill me, don't please spare me. So he says, okay, I will spare you, but I cannot allow you to dominate this world as long as, at least as long as I am there. And so you can stay only in some places. So which places can he stay? We saw that the four legs of dharma we saw first: tapas, shauch, daya, and satya. And this is what the dharma of Satya Yuga is. But when Parikshit Maharaj, he sees the bull, he sees that only one leg is now remaining and the other three are gone. The leg which is remaining at that time was Satya, and the other three, Tapas, Shaucha, and Daya, they were not present, or the bull was not relying on them. They were too weak. The bull was relying only on the fourth leg, which is Satya. So after this happens, then Parikshit grants Kali 5 places where he can stay. And those are Dyutam, Panam, Striyaha, Suna, and Jata Rupam. Okay, Dyutam means gambling. Panam means intoxication or drinking. Striyaha means sensual indulgence. It does not literally mean women. From the perspective of a man, it means woman, because a man seeks sensual pleasure in a woman. More generally, a woman can seek sensual pleasure in a man, or otherwise, you can say we all seek sensual pleasures in different things, not only in sex life, but in so many other things also. So Striya refers to sensual indulgence in general. Suna, slaughter, animal slaughter, and Jata Rupa refers to the accumulation of gold and different types of riches. So Dyutam, Panam, Striya, Suna, and Jata Rupam. And these individually correspond to falsehood, Anrita, Mada, intoxication, Kama, or material desire, Vaira, enmity or hatred, and Rajas, or greed and lust. Okay, each of these you can see respectively correspond to these 5 bad or abominable qualities which we ought to avoid. So this framework basically tells us how to avoid Kali Yuga. It is said that when one practices bhakti sincerely, one develops the qualities of bhakti, then Kali cannot affect them. Kali cannot do anything to them. Kali stays away from them. Kali goes only to people who are weak-hearted and who do not want to follow dharma, whose mentality is that of adharma. Kali immediately goes to them. But one who wants to follow dharma, Kali cannot go near them. So we know now where to avoid Kali by looking at this. Okay, so we heard all this in the last session. So now going back to Parikshit Katha, the continuation, what happens after that? So Parikshit returns back and then he rules his kingdom for several years in a very dharmic manner. Now the story goes on to the end of his life. How does the whole Parikshit Katha end? So it's very dramatic again, just like his birth was very dramatic. The end of his life also is very dramatic. So what initiates that? So once when Maharaj Parikshit is hunting in the forest, okay, kings have one of their activities is hunting. They go behind animals, they play sports with them. And certain types of animals, very cruel animals, they kill. They also have the provision to kill them. Not any animal, but certain types of animals under certain conditions can be killed by them. So when Parikshit Maharaj is out on a hunting trip once, he becomes very tired and he's very thirsty, very, very tired and thirsty and very fatigued. And he wants some place to drink water. He doesn't find. He's searching in the jungle. And all of a sudden, he comes across the hermitage or the sage ashram. एक बहुत श्रेष्ठ ऋषि हैं, उनका नाम है शमीक ऋषि. शमीक ऋषि का आश्रम वहां पर है उस वन में. So he comes near that ashram. It's on the bank of Ganga. You see, Hastinapur, where Parikshit is ruling from, is also on the bank of Ganga. So all this is happening in the vicinity of Hastinapur, and Mother Ganga is nearby. Ganga ji पास में ही बहती हैं. तो आश्रम भी उसके पास में ही है. So he goes there and he enters the ashram of Shamik Rishi. And when he enters, ashram बहुत शांत वातावरण का है, सात्विक है बिल्कुल. And he feels so nice inside. He goes inside and he sees the rishi. And the rishi at that point of time is sitting in dhyan. वो ध्यान में मग्न है. All his mind, his senses, his pranas are completely under control. And he has gone beyond them. He's gone beyond his mind also. He has taken his consciousness. Last class we spoke about the Pancha Koshas, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. So he is in Vijnanamaya Kosha. He's beyond the first three koshas and he's experiencing that Shuddha Jnana, the Jnana of Brahma, Bhagavan. Unko, so in that particular state of consciousness, he is in Turiya Bhav. Turiya Bhav means he is beyond the state of the three gunas, Nirgun mein, Nirgunavastha mein hai. And he is completely not conscious of what is happening to his body. तो उस स्थिति में वो परीक्षित महाराज को देखते भी नहीं. उनके अंदर ही अंदर मन पूरा मतलब अंदर विलीन है. So at that time Parikshit sees him, and because Parikshit is in a state of mind which is, exhaustion, fatigue, very thirsty. He's very, very thirsty. He's looking for water. He wants to drink some water. So normally, being a king, he is used to all the luxuries of a king's life. All his life, he has been brought up first as a prince and then as the ruler, as the monarch. So always there are servants to attend to him. He doesn't even have to ask them. Even before he asks, they can guess that he needs some water or he needs some food or he needs some comfort, and they will come and offer it to him. And when he goes outside also, people know that here the king is coming, and immediately they will arrange all those things, right? So nobody ever has denied him anything. Nobody has even waited for him to ask. And now he is in an ashram, he is in a place for the first time in his life. He is experiencing a situation where nobody has come forward to offer him because there's nobody there other than the rishi. And he is sitting and meditating. And he is not aware that this king has come. So nobody offers him anything. And so he looks at the sage and he looks around and nobody gives him anything, and he's very thirsty and he becomes angry in that mood. Anger comes on him and he thinks, who are these people? Can't they see that the ruler of the land and the emperor has come, and can they leave the ashram like this when I'm coming here and go away? What kind of hospitality, what kind of atiti bhav do they have? These people are really niche prani. So he gets so angry that he loses his mind at that moment in that state of anger. And this can happen to anybody, even to us very often when we are in a very tired state of mind, when we are exhausted, then even a small thing can make us angry or irritable, and we may end up doing something very regrettable at that point of time. And that is what Parikshit does. In that state of anger, when he is not getting that water that he is seeking, in that state of thirst, so he finds a snake, a dead snake. So with his spear, he picks up that snake and he puts it on the neck of the rishi, on the neck of Shamika rishi, as a punishment. Out of anger, he does that and he says, this is what you deserve for this behavior of yours. And he goes away from there in a huff. He leaves the place in anger and huff, and he goes back to his palace. So then what happens? So this is the crucial moment when the news spreads that the king had come, okay, to the ashram, and in anger, he could not get what he wanted. He became angry, and he has put a snake on the body of the rishi there sitting there. Now this is big news because nobody behaves like that. No, such a thing never happens. So this news immediately spreads in the vicinity of the ashram, and there the child, the son of that ऋषि, शमीक ऋषि का पुत्र जो है वो ब्राह्मण है और वो वहाँ खेल रहा है. He is playing with all his friends. So he hears it. And when he hears it, immediately he gets astonished and he becomes angry that how can somebody behave with my father? My father is such a great rishi. And first of all, the feeling of my father is there, right? Even if your father is not a great rishi but an ordinary man, but somebody offends your father, how will you feel? You will not feel happy with that. You will want to immediately take action on that person. But here, it's not only his father, but also a very Mahan rishi. And the son, Rishiputra, is not able to believe. He is a Brahmana. And he's not able to believe that a king, the emperor, who's supposed to be very knowledgeable, the Kshatriyas are supposed to be servants of the Brahmanas. They're supposed to serve the Brahmanas and always be at their feet. But here, this fellow has come and he has just put a snake on his neck and gone. What kind of behavior is this? He's unable to comprehend that. So he becomes very upset and very angry. And immediately he says, I'm not going to spare this fellow. All the tapasya that I have done, I will now make use of that and I will punish him. I will give him the punishment that he deserves. So he goes to the Ganga and he takes water from the Ganga and he does achaman. Achaman karta hai, or he says, Mera jo bhi tapas hai, all the tejas and tapas that I have accrued over these, all these years of sadhana that I have done, with that energy, I curse him. मैं इनको शाप देता हूँ कि आज से 7 दिन, 7 days from today, the great Takshaka, okay, the son of one of the Nagas, the powerful Nagas, Takshaka will come and bite this king with his venom, and this king will die. 7 days from today, within 7 days from today, Takshaka will come, bite this king, and he will die. He will meet his death in this manner for the most offensive activity that he has done to my father. तो ऐसा कहता है, गुस्से में कहता है. So then, after cursing the king like this on the bank of Mother Ganga with the water of Ganga, he goes back to the ashram. He wants to see his father. So he goes into the ashram, he enters the ashram, and there he sees his father with the snake on his neck. And his father is still in that state. His father is still in Turiya Bhav. He has still not woken up. He has not come out of that state. So seeing that, he cannot take it. He becomes very emotional when he sees his father having the snake, the dead snake on his neck. And he breaks down. In that emotion, he starts crying. He starts crying, very piteously crying, that how can my father be put in a state like this? Who can put my father? Okay, when you see your own father in a miserable state, you become very emotional and you start crying, your father or your mother or anybody who is very dear to you. So he starts weeping, he starts crying. And when he starts crying, the sound of that crying, the rishi hears it. And the rishi becomes disturbed by that. So he slowly opens his eyes and he sees his son crying. And just as he sees his son crying, he also sees the snake on his neck, and he immediately takes the snake and throws it away. And he doesn't bother. That snake doesn't disturb him. After all, he has been in the Turiya Bhav, and somebody in Turiya Bhav is beyond the three gunas. And these kind of small things, they don't affect them. So he asks his son, "Kyun ro rahe ho? What happened to you? Why are you crying?" So then the son, he stops crying and he explains to him what all happened. So when the rishi hears that this son of mine, uh, he had cursed Parikshit. Parikshit, the emperor, he came into my ashram unknown to me, and I could not do what I am supposed to do. When the emperor comes to your ashram, or for that matter, any guest, not only the emperor, but any guest comes to a rishi's ashram, either the rishi or his disciples or somebody will receive that person, and whatever it is, according to that person's, adhikar, that they will be giving seva. They will give some seva, atithi, satkar will be done, and nothing was done. So emperor himself came, not some ordinary man. Emperor came, but none of us were there to receive him. I was not there. I was sitting in Turiya Bhav, and my son was going and playing. He was playing with somebody. Nobody was here to attend to him. Immediately, Rishi ke man mein bahut dukh hota hai. He starts regretting. And then he He understands that his son has cursed him. So he tells his son, what have you done? Have you lost your senses? You have cursed such a great personality, such a dharmic personality. ये भगवान के प्रेमी हैं. इनको तुमने शाप दिया. एक छोटा सा चीज उन्होंने किया, वो अपराध भी नहीं है. Such a small thing. He put a snake on my neck. So what happened? Nothing happened to me. He didn't even put a living snake on me. A dead snake. It has not done anything to me. For such a small thing, you have cursed a great king. Such a massive curse you have given to him. Something is wrong with you. He chastises him. He scolds him that you have done something wrong, and this is something that you should not have done. तो ऋषि के मन में बहुत दुख होता है इससे. In the meantime, उस तरफ क्या होता है? This rishi has this king has reached his palace. So he's reached his palace, and he is now, his anger has gone. He's no longer angry. Okay, by the time the rishi here on this side, the rishi has got the news. His son has told him, and he's now regretting that his son behaved like this. The king is also regretting because his anger has gone. So when his anger has gone, he has become very clear in the mind. His mind has come back to his normal state. And when the mind comes back to the normal state, we realize the mistake that we have done. You see, when we are angry, we lose our mind in our anger. And in that lost state of anger, we do something very drastic. We curse somebody, scold somebody, we break something, or we destroy something, we destroy our own creation. And eventually, when our mind cools down, we look back at what we have done and we become very regretful. That is the result of anger. So it's a Rajogun comes out of, Rajogun gives rise to anger, lust and anger. Is to regret. Mute, there's some noise coming from somewhere. Yeah, thank you. So Parikshit Maharaj, once he goes back to the palace, he realizes that he has been doing this. He has actually done something very, 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 very offensive to the rishi. He should not have behaved like that. He should not have behaved like that, and he becomes very regretful. पश्चाताप, it's called पश्चाताप. पश्चाताप को संस्कृत में, इंग्लिश में जो रिग्रेट है, उसको संस्कृत में पश्चाताप बोलते हैं. So he regrets, he repents, and he is sitting with a very sad mind that he has done something that he should never have done. Nobody should do that. Such a great rishi, he has offended him in this manner. So here the rishi is regretting the behavior of his son, and there the king is regretting his behavior towards the rishi. So at this time, the news reaches the king that look, the son has cursed you, the rishi's son has cursed you, and then you will meet your end in 7 days from now. The takshaka will come and bite you, and you will die. Okay, the moment the news reaches him, what happens? How does he react to that? So he knows now that he's going to die. His life has come to an end. He's going to die in 7 days. Now, what would a normal person do? The normal person would probably try to find out ways by which that curse can be overcome, that curse can be avoided in some way. Maybe he will go and try to beg for forgiveness from the son of the rishi, or he would try to find some other rishi who can remove that effect of that curse, and or even if that intelligence is not there, he may try to take some revenge on that son. Maybe I'll kill the son before that sharp comes to me. So some kind of reactionary behavior would happen. But how does Parikshit react to it? Now we should understand Parikshit is not an ordinary person. He is a Mahabhagavata. He is a Bhakta. He is a Bhakta of Bhagavan. He is a Jnani. He is a Premi. He has all Jnana in him. So in that state of mind, he knows that what he did, he deserves a punishment probably even worse than this. So he says that with folded hands, he says, I take this because I deserve this. And this has come to me at the right time. Okay, now Sri Bhagavan is telling me that I should leave my kingdom. My responsibility is over. Now, in the next 7 days, I'm going to completely fix my mind in Bhagavan. Bhagavan में ही मेरा मन पूरा का पूरा मैं विलीन करके भगवान के स्मृति में ही ये 7 दिन बिताऊंगा. So he goes away from the palace. He hands over the kingdom to his son, Janamejaya. So Janamejaya takes over as the king, and he walks away immediately. As soon as he hears this, he walks away from there, and he goes to the bank of Mother Ganga. And he sits there and he says, now I'll do dhyan on Bhagavan. So he starts doing dhyan, and immediately the news spreads. You see, this news is spreading very fast because, after all, he's the emperor. Just imagine in our country, if something like this happens to the prime minister, whoever the prime minister is, and the prime minister decides that I'll go to the bank of Yamuna because Yamuna flows in Delhi. So I'm using Yamuna here. And he goes to the bank of Yamuna and says, I'm going to sit now here and do dhyan on Bhagwan. What do you think will happen? Okay. Of course, he will go. Along with him, so many other people will also go because he's the king, he's the emperor. And so then what will happen in India? All the media will go. Not only the Indian media, but the world media will go. The Prime Minister of India has decided to give up his post and he's now sitting and meditating on God because he thinks he's going to die in 7 days' time. Okay, this news will immediately, the TV channels, everybody will talk about it, right? Exactly a similar thing happens. All the great rishis of this universe, all the saints, the philosophers, the scholars, they all come there. They want to see this phenomenon. This never happens. Such a thing has never happened before. So it's an event that they want to witness with their own eyes. They want to see how this king is meeting his death, right? And he is a bhakta, he's not an ordinary king. So they want to see how he does it. So they all come there. And by the time he reaches there, they are also there, and he falls at their feet. Each of them, he receives them. He says, please come. I'm so grateful that you have come. You are present to help me to achieve Bhagwan. So he receives all of them, touches their feet, does their puja, and they bless him. They say that we have come here because we want to see you. You are a Mahabhagavata, and to get your darshan, we have come here. So after they exchange these words with each other, the rishis all settle down, and he also settles down. And at that time, the greatest of all the munis, he appears there. And his name is Shuka Muni, Shukadeva. Shukadeva Muni, he appears there. Now, Shuka Muni is not an ordinary Muni. He is the son of Shri Vyasdeva himself. ये व्यासपुत्र हैं और शुक मुनि भगवान के शुद्ध भक्त हैं भगवान के प्रेमी भक्त हैं. So he comes there, and as soon as he comes, everybody stands up. And he's a very unique character. He's just 16 years of age. Okay, it is said that he did not come out of his mother's womb. He did not come out of his mother's womb because he knew that this jagat is full of Maya. And he didn't want to expose himself to Maya. वो अपने माताजी के गर्भ में ही रह गए. And in that गर्भ he was sitting and thinking about Bhagwan all the time. भगवान के स्मरण में ही वो गर्भ में ही रह गए. उसी भाव में he stayed inside itself. He didn't want to come out and get involved in the affairs of this world. So he came out because Vyasdeva requested him to please come out. So he came out. And then Vyasdeva tells him about the message of the Bhagavata. And after hearing that, he just walks away from there. He doesn't want to stay there. He doesn't want to develop any attachment even to his own father. So he just walks away, and Vyasdeva runs behind him. He says, please come back. Don't leave me. You're too young to leave your ashram, your father's ashram, and go. You're still a small child. But he does not listen to his father. And he is wandering. He wanders to different places. And by the arrangement of Bhagwan, he reaches the place where Parikshit Maharaj is sitting. And by the time he reaches, his father Vyasdeva is also there. His father's guru, Naradji bhi wahan par hai. All the great rishis are there. So in their company, he reaches there and they all stand up and receive him. They recognize his greatness, and Parikshit Maharaj receives him, and Parikshit Maharaj then worships him. He says, now I want to hear about you. I want to basically have my answers to two questions. And what are the two questions he asks? So the first question he asks is, he says, what is the duty of all the living beings? What should the living beings do in their life? What is the best thing for them to do? How should they live their life? What kind of activities should they do? And the second question is, particularly at the time of death, what should a person do when he is nearing his death, in the last stage of his life? What should he do? So two questions. During their lifetime, the entire lifetime, what kind of activities should people do? And the second question is, particularly that at the time of death, what should a person do? Please answer these two questions. So just like in a research paper, the introduction section of a research paper ends with the research questions that the paper is going to address. The Srimad Bhagavatam, The introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam happens in the Pratama Skanda of Bhagavatam. There are 12 skandas in the Bhagavatam. The first skanda is the introduction, and the introduction ends with these two questions that Parikshit asks to Shukamuni. And from the second skanda, Dvitiya skanda of Bhagavatam onwards, Shukamuni begins to speak, and he answers these two questions. The rest of the 11 skandhas of Bhagavatam are devoted to answering these two questions. And we will, as we go forward in our Bhagavad Gita classes, I'll be narrating more stories, more narratives from the Bhagavatam, what Shukamuni narrates to Parikshit. And we will talk more and more about this message, this holy message. But one particular shloka in this conversation I wanted to highlight, and that is this. It says, Nottama shloka vartanam jushatam tat kathamritam syat sambhramonta kalepi smaratam tat padam bhujam. It says, one who is always absorbed in the padambuja of Bhagavan, जो भगवान के पदाम्बुज, जो उनका पद कमल है, उसके बारे में, उसके ऊपर जिसका स्मरण सदा रहता है, उसी में उसका स्मरण मग्न रहता है, अंतकाले भी उसका संभ्रम नहीं होता है. जो भगवान के सब समय श्लोक, उत्तम श्लोक, भगवान को उत्तम श्लोक नाम से भी जाना जाता है, बिकॉज ही इज द वन हु इज प्रेज्ड विद all the best of the shlokas are used to praise him. So it's called Uttama Shloka. And one who is always listening to his katha, Bhagavat katha, उनके गुण के बारे में, उनके क्रियाओं के बारे में, उनके लीलाओं के बारे में. कथामृतम, nectar means all these things are nectarian. सुनने में आनंद प्राप्त होता है. So इस तरह के व्यक्ति को अंतकाल में भी संभ्रम नहीं होता है. Not only when he is alive. Definitely when he is alive, he lives a life without confusion. His mind is always clear. He knows what to do, what not to do, how to live his life. He is able to interpret situations correctly and take the right decisions. But even at the time of death, antakale pi syat na sambhramaha. इसके मन में संभ्रम नहीं होता है. In his state of death also, without any fear, he is able to leave his body. And that explains the behavior of Parikshit. How Parikshit, when he hears his death, hears that death is going to come to him, because of the bhakti that he has, he experiences no fear at all. He knows that Bhagavan will now come and take me with him. He will take me to his place and he's going to see Bhagavan. So with that excitement, he goes there to meet his death. He's not going out of fear, he's going out of excitement. And that is what the Bhagavatam teaches us, not only how to live life, but how to also meet our death. So for today, I will stop with this much. I think I have taken much longer than my normal time. But if you have any questions, I will be happy to hear them and listen to your comments too.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Who is speaking?
So Subhashish here.
Yes, Subhashish. Now you're audible.
Yeah. So you mentioned that Parikshit was like that it's not only about how to live, but how to die also. That's he went with all of that in today's world, sir. How would you suggest that one would prepare? That what would be some of those things that one can keep in mind in that?
Very good question. So the Bhagavatam is devoted to answering these two very, very important questions, which we don't encounter, or which no other book answers so well. Okay, all the Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana also touch upon this thing, but the Bhagavatam is exclusively devoted to these two questions. So the very first thing to do is to read Bhagavatam. Daily practice of reading Bhagavatam is absolutely essential. Because if we read Bhagavatam, naturally Bhagavat Smaranam becomes a natural outcome for us. It stays naturally in our mind all the time. So along with reading of Bhagavatam, the most basic practice of bhakti is Harinama Japa, chanting the names of Bhagavan, doing japa of the name of Bhagavan. So if we are able to do that as a discipline every day for some time, then that will strengthen our mind. It gives us that mental strength to be able to think of Bhagavan in all situations, good or bad. All situations we are able to think of Bhagavan and maintain our equanimity. So in this way, if we live our life, then automatically, if death has to come to us, at that time our mind will remain tranquil. It'll be able to maintain that tranquility and continue to think of Bhagavan and be able to attain him. This is what the Bhagavatam says. So the practice of bhakti yoga, the two most basic practices are chanting his name and the reading of Bhagavatam. These two are the two most basic and important practices of bhakti yoga.
Got it, sir. Got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I will prepare a longer list of the different other practices also which can be done. Bhakti yoga is not only about these two practices. These two are the most basic practices, but there are so many other practices as well, which give us variety in life. So practicing bhakti is very much like living a normal life. It is not like going away from our normal life. Within our normal life, how to bring Krishna into every aspect of our life. That is bhakti. That is the practice of bhakti.
And so then when it becomes a way of life, like what we do as our breakfast, lunch, whatever it is, like similarly, the two elements that you talked about, if that becomes a way of life, then that is life itself. So then you don't have to do anything consciously out of that.
Yes. So it won't look like we have to live life and we have to do something else apart from living
Yeah.
life.
Not separately. It's a part of life. Like whatever we do normally, then that is what is the okay. Got it.
Exactly. So our work also, when we go for our profession, all of us are engaged in some profession. So our profession, our home life, our spiritual sadhana, they all become one. They become integrated. So when we go to work also, we see our work as a part of our sadhana. When we interact with our family members or even go for a picnic with our family members, that also becomes like a part of our sadhana. So we do all our normal activities, but we're able to see how that's a part of our sadhana and feel that connection with Bhagavan in every part of those activities as well.
Got
And,
it.
and when we are able to do that, then we have attained some level of maturity in bhakti. That level of maturity is like you can say a first stage of bhakti. We should be able to attain that level of maturity before it can become more intense.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Pranam, sir.
Yeah, pranam Sarthak. Yeah.
Yes, sir, I had three questions, basic only. But sir, so you narrated Parikshit Maharaj's katha over here. Sir,
Yeah.
I've heard, I think you had only said once that यहाँ पे परीक्षित महाराज जो हैं वो मृत्यु को बहुत अच्छे से स्वागत कर रहे हैं, मृत्यु का स्वागत अच्छे से कर रहे हैं. He wants to conduct his affairs in which he will attain the highest platform. But I've also heard that there is an instance wherein his behavior is completely different. So are there two different accounts in some
Yeah.
other different Purana?
Yeah. In Mahabharata, the Parikshit described in the Mahabharata is a different Parikshit. It's not this Parikshit because we say in different kalpas, in each day of Brahma, all the different leelas of Bhagavan happen again and again. It's like the same movie is screened again and again, repeatedly. So Bhagavan comes again and again as Krishna, as Rama, and different jivatmas take up different roles. Like now we saw Parikshit in this particular jivatma who became Parikshit. But a different jivatma may become Parikshit in a different yuga, in a different kalpa of Bhagavan, of Brahma. So that Parikshit described in the Mahabharata is of a different kalpa. In fact, that Parikshit is of this kalpa. And the Parikshit in the Bhagavatam is said to be of a different kalpa, earlier than the present kalpa of Brahma, said to be of the Saraswat kalpa. That is why we hear different accounts of the same name, the same Parikshit name, but a different account with a different personality.
Okay.
Correct.
Yes, sir. Okay, so the second one is listed in the Mahabharata.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
It's in the Mahabharata.
And Mahabharata pertains to the current kalpa that we are in, or Mahabharata is a different kalpa?
The Mahabharata that we read now is the current kalpa, of the current kalpa.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Bhagavatam corresponds to a different time period.
Yeah, of a different time period, correct. But many of the things will be very similar, except small instances like this. But a majority of the activities are very similar, or the tattva is similar. Maybe the micro level activities are different. That the way that Parikshit behaved and this Parikshit behaved, maybe on a day-to-day basis, they might have done different things. But the major activities in the life, the story plays out in a similar manner. So we can take it that whatever the Mahabharata describes about this Parikshit also happened here. We see a similar difference in the Bhishma Katha also. When, for example, in the Kurukshetra Yuddha, when Bhishma is being attacked by Krishna in the Kurukshetra war, right, on the 9th day, Krishna gets down from Arjuna's chariot and rushes towards Bhishma. In the Bhagavatam, it is described that Krishna picked up a chariot wheel. रथ का चक्र को ऊपर उठाया, अपने सर के ऊपर उठाया, उसको लेकर के वो भीष्म के पास दौड़े. But the one in Mahabharata, he does not pick up anything. He just runs towards Bhishma. He doesn't pick up any weapon. So there's a difference again there.
Yes.
All details are different.
But sir, this is a very small difference, right? I mean, but the approach है, because Parikshit Maharaj in the other one, he tries to make a fortification to prevent
fortress around himself. Yeah, so that's a different Parikshit, correct. There the Mahabharata does not talk about his bhakti as the main thing. Here the focus is on Parikshit's bhakti bhav. And
right.
whole Bhagavatam is oriented towards that, to highlight that bhakti bhav.
Yes, sir.
That's why it is taken up this one.
Yeah. Sir, can you please move to that shloka, Characharam? I am present in all the animated and non-animated things. Sorry, moving and non-moving.
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, यहाँ पे भूता नाम चरम एव च. So we are adding this because it makes more logical sense to have acharam ev, right? Charam.
Pardon me. Bhutanam acharam charam eva cha.
अच्छा, okay. So the acharam comes after bhuta naam. तो म पे हलंत है. उसके बाद that becomes acharam and then charam. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
First acharam comes, then charam comes. Yes.
Okay. Got it, sir. I did not consider the ma without halant. So, I mean, I was getting confused over there. Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir, my final question. In the Mangala Charan, there is a shlok. Can you please explain its meaning? It's the one with Panch Tattvatmakam Krishnam. So here, are we talking about the Panch Tattvas? I mean, Bhumi Rapo Nalo Nilo Nabaha, or the one, the 5 great sages?
No, this refers to.
Shri.
Yeah, wait. I'll go back to the Mangala Charan. Here, the Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam. This shloka is taken from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a biography of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu written by Krishnadas Kaviraj. So, this shloka, I think, has been composed by him because it's there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita right in the beginning. When he does Mangalacharanam in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he does, among the shlokas in Mangalacharan there, this shloka is prominent. So he offers his respect to what he calls as the Pancha Tattva. Because Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is understood to be Sri Bhagavan himself, Krishna, who has come in the Kali Yuga as a Channa avatar, Gupta avatar, means not revealing his nature as Krishna, but appearing as a Bhakta of Krishna. So he wants to display how Bhakti is performed. So therefore, when he came, he brought his associates, and Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj identified 4 close associates of his. One is Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, and Srivas Pandit. So these 4 he identified as the closest associates of Mahaprabhu. So he combined them together and made 5 and called them as Pancha Tattva, where Mahaprabhu is Krishna, and he said the other 4 are, Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam. One of them is a Bhakta Rupa, the other is Bhakta Swarupa. One is a Bhakta Avatara, and one is known as a Bhakta, and the other one is Bhakta Shakti. So in this way, I will tell you which one corresponds to which of them, maybe in a future session. But these 5 words here refer to
Yes, sir.
each of them respectively.
Sure, sir.
All the 5 of
Thank you.
them are manifestations of bhakti. That's what he wanted to
Yes.
say.
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir. Sir, I also had an observation. It is linked to the thing that you just said. Can you please correct it or maybe add another observation that you have?
Yeah.
So in the incarnations that Shri Vishnu takes in the human like form.
Yeah.
So I saw that if we talk about say Shri Ram,
Yeah.
तो उनके जीवन में आपको मतलब भक्तों के प्रति प्रेम मिलेगा. यू विल गेट दिस भक्ति रस, प्रेम रस, बट उनका आचरण पूरा इट शोज द वे ऑफ से कर्मयोगी, दैट ही इज सिंसियरली फॉलोइंग हिज ड्यूटीज no matter what, and he's sthit prajna. He simply says that okay, this is what I have to do, and he is detached from all material things. So there he shows a way of karma yoga.
Yeah.
And if we talk about say Bhagwan Buddha or say Bhagwan Dattatreya, so there they show the way of jnana, knowledge, or meditation, or ashtanga yoga. And if we take a look at say Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so there he shows a path of bhakti.
Yeah.
That should attain God by bhakti. So I was wondering if this observation is on the right path, and if yes, then what does Shri Krishna show? So I wasn't getting any right pointer towards Shri Krishna कि वो कौन सा मार्ग अपना रहे.
Well, Sri Krishna is not showing any particular path of yoga in my understanding. He is the object of yoga. He reveals himself in the Gita as the object of yoga.
Yes, sir.
So his life, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presence here or his manifestation, was for the specific purpose of teaching us bhakti yoga, how bhakti is done, and for initiating the culture of bhakti in his own way. Although the culture of bhakti was present in other ways in other sampradayas, he wanted to initiate one particular form of bhakti, that pure ananya bhakti, which is not even looking for mukti as its goal, which is beyond both bhukti and mukti. So this way Mahaprabhu appeared, and different other avatars sometimes appear for specific purposes. Sri Bhagavan's purpose was not to teach us one particular form of yoga, but he says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir-bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya. So it's more broad. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanarthaya. So he does so many different activities where he accomplishes all these goals. At the end of his tenure here, he has managed to establish the dharmis, the dharmika bhaktas, the Pandavas, back on the throne. The Kauravas are removed. And so many sadhus are protected because of him. The Gita is given. And so many leelas are performed, which is recorded in the Bhagavatam. So he does so many activities by which dharma again comes back into the limelight.
Yes, sir.
That is his avatar dedicated to.
Yes, sir. So Shri Krishna is maybe say the object of yoga. So there are no particular path per se. Only the purposes are solved.
Yeah, in that particular manifestation, even for that matter, as Ram, you can say. I don't know if he demonstrated any particular path of yoga as such. He led the life of a Maryada Purushottam. And
he did all his duties. He carried out all his duties, whatever he was supposed to do.
That way, all the Inca, even as Bhagavan Krishna, when he came as Krishna, he did all the duties of a Kshatriya. And he was the king of Dwaraka. All that he had to do, he did.
Okay.
So everybody, see, any path of yoga follows karma. Karma is common to all of them.
Yes, sir.
So in Bhakti Yoga also, the basic form of Bhakti Yoga includes doing our karma. Now only when one's Bhakti becomes mature, then one becomes eligible to come out of one's normal karma and do Bhakti activities. Bhakti Kriya or Bhakti Sadhana.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a more mature stage of bhakti. But by
So
default,
everyone has to do their duties,
do their
basically.
karma. Yeah. Everyone has to do their
Yes.
karma. Otherwise, one gets pap if one does not do their karma. That's the understanding.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody has
Sir,
any?
Pranam, sir, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Pranam,
who is
sir,
it?
I just. Swapnil, sir. Swapnil, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, not a question, sir. I just wanted to tell that before chanting of each round, we say the Panchatattva mantra. Like, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Ram, sir. No question as such. I just wanted to share this.
Okay. Fine.
One observation I want to do.
Yeah, Jayashree wants to make an observation. Yeah, please speak. Please speak.
Okay. So this is with reference to Sarthak's observation about Krishna Avatara and Rama Avatara. In Rama Avatara, the Avatara happened to show how a Manusya should live. So Rama personified how an ideal son should be, how an ideal husband should be, and an ideal friend. So all those aspects of human life was demonstrated in Ramavatara, and suffering, the intense suffering that he underwent in that avatara was special to Ramavatara. Whereas in Krishna Avatara, his Bhagavat Rupa was in its full flow. You know, in Vrindavan, he did all those leelas, and then coming back to Mathura, and then Dwaraka, shifting the entire city of Mathura to Dwaraka, building a new town. Overnight, all those leelas happened only in his Bhagavat Swarupa got its full-fledged expression in Krishna Avatara. There was no binding that he should restrict himself to Manushya Gunas there. So that is one major thing that we observe when we look at both the avatars. So I just wanted to share this.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Any other question, anyone? We can close, otherwise it's already beyond the time. So I'll go to the last slide and we will chant the Antyamangalam. And when I chant, please chant the Hare Krishna mantra along with me. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobhramanebhyo Shubhamastu Nityam Lokas Samastas Sukhino Bhavantu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. धन्यवादाः पुनर्मिलामः अग्रिमभानुवासरे पुनर्मिलामः